Hi, this is Carrie with Changing the Matrix, and I just wanted to make this quick video about landlord and tenant rights. This is for you, Victor. I'm taking a class right now with Aaron and Victor, and Victor was talking about how him and his wife, their family's moving out of their house because they had rodent problems and mold problems. Now, going through this course, because this course I'm taking is all about how to start your own online business, get a YouTube channel, all that. I know my video quality is really low right now. As soon as I have the money, I'll buy better equipment. Let me turn this on. And I realized going through this course, I was a hairstylist for about 30 years. And when I worked in Berkeley and Oakland, I had a lot of clients from all ages, all walks of life, and I'm a problem solver. I've always been a problem solver because the family I grew up in was very dysfunctional. And I felt like the only sane person. And I was like, how did I end up in this family? Trying to figure them out. And there were a lot of crazy people around me trying to figure them out. I had thought about studying psychology. When I first went to college, I took a psychology class and they started teaching Freud, and I thought he was an idiot because he would be so right on the money, and then all of a sudden he'd beeline into outer space somewhere. And I was like, is this what we're going to learn? We're going to learn from another crazy person? But young psychology is good. Freud, he has his place. He had a lot of good ideas and then kind of, would beeline off the subject. He'd be so close to being there. Anyway, psychology's come a long ways. And yeah, so as a hairstylist, you all know everybody talks to their hairstylist. Hairstylists know everything about everyone and everything that's going on. Like, hairstylists would make the perfect spy, the perfect financial analyst, the perfect, event promoter. I mean, yeah. Hairstylists are not stupid people. We're smart. We know a lot. And we know how to get you talking. Anyway, because we have to make you feel comfortable. And when you're comfortable and you're relaxed, you're going to open up. I can't tell you how many clients have sat in my chair and just told me their deepest, darkest secrets. And then all of a sudden they stop themselves and they're like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm telling you all this. I've never told anyone this. And and in my chair, just them opening up to me, they have so many epiphanies. So, okay, I'm going to talk about something else, but I'll just quickly brush on this. Is that really to be a good therapist? It is just allowing someone the space to feel comfortable, to feel like they're not being judged. And a lot of people feel like they're being judged when they go to a therapist, and then it's counterproductive. When people have a space where they feel like they feel held, like when you're a baby and you're crying, you just need to be held. You just need that feeling of someone holding you, that someone's got your back, someone's got you, someone's giving you the space to cry, to yell, to scream, to let your emotions out. So if you want to get into therapy, if you want to be a therapist, and you feel like you don't know enough, because for me, I'm 54 now, I just turned 54, and when I was 26, I took a course in hypnotherapy. And I kept feeling like I didn't know enough. I didn't have enough life experience. I felt like there were still aspects of my life that needed to be healed before I could be a hypnotherapist because I didn't want to mess anyone up. I took it very seriously. Hypnotherapy is no joke. You don't want to mess someone up. And I kind of feel that right now there's a lot of people getting into hypnotherapy that aren't ready for it. But then again, I don't want to discourage, because if I just dived into it and done it when I was younger, I'd probably be Marissa Peer 20 years ago. You know, I probably would have a much better life. I'd be financially set. But yeah, but it's confidence, right? Confidence. It's having enough confidence and drive to do what you really want to do, and figuring out a way how to monetize making money. Okay, so this is what I want to get to. In life, you can make money doing anything you want to do, but it's learning how to figure out how to make money doing what you love doing. And in 2012, when YouTube kind of got up and running, and that's when I first discovered it, was 2012. I had thought about making videos, but I was insecure. I didn't like how I looked on camera. I didn't have good equipment. I still don't have good equipment. I don't like how I sound. Sometimes I don't really like my voice. I know I come across as sounding like a stoner, and it's just maybe because I'm a relaxed person. I remember in 8th grade, before I even knew what weed was, all the kids started coming up to me like, "You have weed, give it to us, share it with us." And I'm like, "I don't know what you're talking about, man." They're like, "Come on, we know you have it." I'm like, "What's weed?" And they're like, "Stop messing with us." I went home like, "Mom, what is weed?" All the kids are asking me for weed. They think I have weed. I don't know what it is. I really didn't know. But then looking back, like when I started hearing myself recorded, I was like, "Oh my God, I totally sound like a stoner." Now I know. Now I understand why everyone thinks I'm a stoner. Everyone thinks I smoke weed, and I don't. I have, here and there in the past, but yeah, it makes my mind go too fast, and then my brain is thinking faster than what I can speak or write down. I like solve all the world's problems, and I'm like, "Hey, remember this, remember this." And then, of course, afterwards, I can't remember anything that I came up with. It's like my brain goes into overdrive and then I forget it all. So what's the point, you know? Anyways, back to my point of learning how to monetize what you're good at. So when I was a hairstylist, I can't tell you how many people I helped in all aspects of life. I've helped people find jobs. I've helped people solve business issues, marketing ideas, come up with marketing ideas. I had a lot of clients that were engineers, scientists. I helped them solve their science dilemmas, their engineering problems they were trying to solve. I saved marriages. And I'll get to that in another video with some advice. And I've helped people understand their kids. I've helped people with their health, like whatever you name it. And I've always come up with brilliant ideas for businesses, like all the healing resorts in Costa Rica. Yeah, my idea. Way before any of that was there, when I was 25, I went to Costa Rica. There was 0 healing resorts at that time. I think at that time there was like maybe 3 very small vacation resorts in all of Costa Rica. And they were building their first gated community, and all the locals were creeped out by it. They were like, "Why are they building walls?" Because the culture there is, my house is your house. It's so warm. Even though the people don't have as much material things, they're the richest people on earth because they have love, they have community. That's really the key to life. It's relationships and community. But that'll be another video. What do I want to get to? I've always come up with good ideas. I always dreamed, like, I would talk to my clients, and like, if I could have my dream job, I would just be lounging around the pool or hanging out on the beach with a cocktail, hanging around with some people and just telling them my ideas. Like if someone wanted an idea for a business, they come to me, they pay me, and I brainstorm and I come up with a lot of ideas for them. Ideas for business, how to market it, all that stuff. I was really good at that. I just never had the money and the actual know-how, the nitty-gritty know-how of how to start a business. I had a lot of good ideas. And taking this course now with Victor and Aaron, and Victor's talking about his issue with his landlord because they had issues with rodents and mold, and the landlord wasn't addressing those issues, so they got to the point where like, well, we're gonna have to break the lease and move. And it sounded like he really didn't know landlord tenant rights. And when I was a hairstylist, I can't tell you how many people I helped with landlord tenant rights. Okay. So I want to just, in this video, I'll make another video that gets in the more nitty gritty, but I just want to talk about some basic things. Now, every state and every city is different. Like in California, I think San Jose might have it now, but they used to not have rent control. Now, San Francisco, Berkeley, Oakland, they have rent control. Rent control is the landlord is only allowed to raise your rent a certain percentage every year. And I think it's like 1.5% or something like that. In San Jose in I think it was 2014 or 2015, all of a sudden rent doubled. It doubled. And then the following year, the rent was triple what it was 2 years prior. So like where rent was $600, all of a sudden it was $1,200, and then it was $1,800. And that's when a lot of people started buying RVs because they couldn't afford rent, because all of a sudden it just spiked up. And that's when everyone started buying RVs. That's when I should have been investing in Winnebago. That was the time to invest. 2014 was the time to invest in Winnebago and things like that. And if you're following stocks, you got to pay attention to the trends and see what you think is going to be up and coming. Look at where the herd is being driven, because the elite wealthy, the top 2%, they treat us like a herd of cattle, and or sheep, the sheeple, and they herd us where they want us to go. They dictate what they want us to believe in. And, in the last few years, the truth became the lie and the lie became the truth. But hey, that's been going on for centuries. And you all get duped every time you buy it every time. It's time for y'all to wake up and just start thinking with your mind. Stop believing so much in media and the government and the elite wealthy, because they're never going to be honest with you. They want power. They want money and power. And to get that, they're not going to be honest. They don't have your best interest at heart. Okay? That's just the bottom line. But that will be another video. What I want to talk about in this video is landlord tenant rights, and how I should have started making videos back in 2012, because I thought about it. I was like, I should start making videos of all this, just all the ways that I've helped people, information that I've come up with, that I've researched. And so I'm going to start doing that. I tried to do that with the whole COVID thing, but all the truth gets censored. So all my videos on that got quickly taken down. So that whole thing became a religion, and it's kind of pointless at this point to show people hard factual evidence, because they're just not going to believe it. Same with religion. I've known since I was a little kid that God's not a man and Lucifer is not the devil, and I can go on. But there's a guy on YouTube named Morg. You can follow him. He's great. He's this awesome way of breaking it down. But you're going to believe what you're going to believe. And we've all been conditioned to believe what we believe. And a lot of people believe what they believe because they've been feared into believing that. Okay, let's get to the landlord-tenant rights. Tips and tricks. Tips and tricks. All right, first off, nationwide, United States, a landlord must provide a habitable home. What's a habitable? What's a habitable home? A habitable home does not have water leaks. If there is a leaky roof, landlord has to fix it right away. There must be a heat source. There must be, if it gets blazing hot, if you're in an area that's like deathly hot, then there has to be AC. But if you're in a moderate temperate area, there's no need for AC. There must be hot water, clean hot water and cold water. You need to have working toilets, showers, sinks, things like that. There needs to be smoke and carbon monoxide detectors that are working. They need to be checked every year. The landlord is responsible for pest control and mold. Now, there are some areas where there's an issue with cockroaches. There's some area that has a big issue with rodents. Like Berkeley has a huge issue with rodents. But the landlord is responsible for that. The landlord is responsible for making sure you are not grossly infested with any kind of insects, termites, cockroaches, ants. Well, I don't know about ants because that's seasonal. I'll have to check into that, but I don't think so. I think it's cockroaches, termites. Oh, if you've got bees or wasps, yeah, that's an issue. And rodents. And with rodents, they need to come in and clean up any feces that the rodents have left, any damage the rodents have caused. Now, rodents also, it's rats and squirrels, because squirrels will eat into your house. Landlord is responsible for those things. Landlord is responsible for providing a garbage receptacle for the local garbage company to waste management company to pick up your garbage. In some cities, they require the landlord to pay for water and garbage, but that's not always the case. It's however your lease is set up. You need to look up your local laws, and you can just Google it. Just Google, HUD homes. It'll have a list of cities or have a list of states. Within that state, it'll have general rules. Look up your own city's rules. Look up, you live in Berkeley. Look up Berkeley landlord-tenant rights, and you'll find the answers that you need. So landlord is responsible for these things. The tenant is responsible for not destroying your house and paying rent on time. And most rental agreements will have a statement saying you have a grace period. Standard grace period is 3 days. Sometimes it's 5 days. But you have to pay it within that day or you pay a late fee. And the landlord does have the authority to charge you a late fee if you pay late. Now, you can always try to have a good relationship with your landlord and explain to them, hey, I'm going to be late this month and I really can't afford the late fee. I just want to give you a heads up. Is this okay? Can we work something out? If you're having financial problems, talk to your landlord. Don't be afraid. Some landlords, it's old money and it's no big deal to them. Those are the best landlords. Some landlords, they need that money and they're just like, oh shoot, no, I need you to pay. You better find a way to pay me. Okay, but relationships. Life is all about developing good relationships. You get further in life when you have good relationships. Now, if there's something that needs to be fixed, the landlord's not fixing, let's say your hot water heater broke and you have no hot water and you contacted your landlord and they're just ignoring you. You called them, you left a message. Now's the time you need to write a letter and send it certified mail. If you've got email, that's good because that shows it right there. Send them an email, call them, write them a certified letter. If you think they're not going to be fixing it anytime soon, a landlord has 30 days to fix anything major like that. And on top of that, for the time being, well, every state's different, but in general, if you don't have hot water, and let's say it's going to take a week to fix it, the landlord could be responsible for paying for you to stay in a hotel for a week. And they don't have to pay for an expensive hotel or an expensive Airbnb. There's like you have to look it up by city, what the stipulations are. And you can always reach out and call your local city planner, your city office, and ask them these questions to get more details. So here's a tip and a trick. If there is something the landlord is not fixing and you've written to them, it's been 30 days, it's pretty clear they're not going to fix the problem, you legally have the right to pay for the repairs and take it off your rent. So let's say your hot water heater is broken. It's been 30 days. Landlord hasn't fixed it. Don't pay your rent. You have the right to not pay your rent. If you have to go stay somewhere else or go to a hotel to take a shower because you don't have hot water, you want to take a cold shower because it's wintertime, whatever money you spent having to stay at a hotel, and it can't be expensive, it's got to be, on the cheaper end, you can write that off on your rent, but you must notify your landlord first. Notify them, say, look, this needs to be fixed. You've had 30 days. I need you to fix this within 5 days. Because they already had 30 days to find someone. They could have found someone. So you say I need this fixed within 5 days, or I'm going to have to pay for the repair and I'll take it off my rent. If the landlord comes back and says, you can't do that, and be like, sorry, but I can. And I will. So just fix the problem, or I'm going to pay to fix it and I'll take the cost off on the rent. Now you want to be smart about how much you pay for repairs. Get estimates. Don't just pick the first person. And sometimes it's good to get 3 different people there all at the same time, because I learned this from a real estate agent. If you have a home repair, make an appointment with 3 different companies and have them all there at the same time and say, this is the problem. You guys just do the estimate, and whoever gives me the best estimate gets the job. Right? And the one that speaks the least and just looks around and writes and was like, here, and you've done a little research and you're like, yep, that's practical. That's the person you go with. Okay? So you notify the landlord, you make sure you have it in writing, you make sure you have a copy of that. They have 30 days to fix things. They don't fix it, you have the right to pay for that repair. So you have someone come in, they fix it, you pay for it, and you make a copy of the receipt and you take that off of what you pay in rent. And you send that receipt in with your rent. And you legally have the right to do that. Now, kitchen appliances a lot of times don't fall under that category. A landlord is just responsible for a warm, clean place to live. Hey, there must be a heat source if it's really hot, an AC source, clean, cold and hot water, and smoke detectors, they must be working. If you have to replace them, again, notify your landlord this needs to be replaced or fixed. You can deduct that off of your rent if they don't respond. They have 30 days. But say your dishwasher breaks or your garbage disposal breaks. That's not, landlord doesn't have to fix that. Those are luxuries. They're not necessities. Okay. So if in your contract, if in your lease agreement, it states that you will have a working dishwasher, then yes, you can make the landlord pay for that. But if it is not in your contract, really read your contract before you sign it. And anytime you have an issue, read your contract again. Okay, so this is a tip and trick for tenants to get things fixed. Now, mold problems. Let's talk about mold because black mold can give you cancer and it's very serious. If you're seeing mold coming through on the walls, get the hell out of there. Just leave because that whole house is guaranteed riddled with mold and it's gonna infect all your stuff and you're gonna have to throw all your things away. Get out. Break your lease. There is mold, get the hell out. And you have the right to break your lease if there's mold, if it's bad enough. Okay. You know, there might be a little bit of mold here and there in the bathroom that you could spray bleach on. But if you're like my wall back here, if there's black mold coming through, you know you have a serious problem. Okay. So you have, if there's mold, black mold, and landlord's not fixing it, get out. Just get out. Don't fight with your landlord. Get out, break your lease. You have the right to break your lease. You put it in writing. You don't have to explain yourself. They cannot sue you. If they try to sue you, all you do is go to court and say there was black mold. They weren't addressing it. I didn't want it to infect all my things where I'd have to throw all my stuff away and then I'd have to sue them for even more money, right? So, yeah. Now let's talk about pests. Cockroaches. Landlord has to take care of that. If you have to spray, deduct that off your rent. If you're in an apartment complex, that's tricky because you can't just spray one apartment. You got to spray all of them. I had to deal with that once and it was an ongoing problem. So we only lived there for 3 months. We're like, no, we're out. If you can afford to leave a place like that, just leave it. Just get out. Now, rodent issues. When I was a hairstylist in Berkeley, I had a lot of college students, and the landlord was trying to convince these college students that they needed to pay for rodent control and that, oh, they're the ones that caused the problem. No. Landlord is responsible for rodent control and cleaning out any feces they leave behind. Now, these students were like, yeah, the rats are getting into our pantry and getting into our food. That is dangerous. That's how the Black Plague came about, people. Rats getting into the wheat barns and food storage areas and shitting all over the food. That's how the Black Plague started. That's how that happened. And it killed a lot of people. So that's a very serious thing. So in that case, what you do is you take pictures, you send to the landlord. If they don't come out right away, and again, they have 30 days to fix the problem, they don't fix it, you have the right to call. You can complain to the city too. You can file a complaint with the city. And they will come down on the landlord. If there's enough complaints, that person will not be allowed to have rental properties anymore. Okay, so there are slumlord laws. There's protection. So they need to fix that. If they don't, hire a company to come out. do the extermination and the cleaning and take it off your rent. You have the right to do that. Now let's talk about moving out. Because if you get the feeling the landlord is going to keep some of your money, and a lot of landlords do this, you could leave the house immaculately clean. You could have cleaned the carpets if there's carpets in there, and they'll come back and charge you $100 for cleaning the carpets. You're like, I left the place immaculately clean and I took pictures. Okay. So here's a trick you can do, and landlords are not happy about this, but generally when you move into a place, you pay first month's and last month's, or it'll say first month and deposit, and the deposit is usually the amount of your last month's rent. So what you do is if you know you're moving out, you know you're going to leave the place cleaner than how it was when you moved in, you're going to leave it how you found it. You haven't damaged anything, you haven't, and there's normal wear and tear. Landlord's responsible for repainting the walls. So if you've lived there for a year, there's a few marks on the walls, don't sweat it. But if you've poked a hole in the wall, you better fix it and paint over. But if there's just, a little bit of dirt on the walls, and I'm talking a little bit, not a lot, landlord's always responsible for repainting in between each new tenant. So just don't pay your last month's rent and make sure you leave the place clean and immaculate. That way you've got your deposit back. I've done that before in the past when I just knew this landlord is going to be trouble. And I had a landlord once that took their sweet time giving us our deposit back. I took pictures. I left the place clean. They were trying to take all this money out. They were making up all this stuff, trying to get us to pay for things we're not supposed to pay for. And she initially had given us our deposit back and then later canceled the check, so I had a bounce check. She gave us a check but then canceled it, so it was a bounce check that I deposited. And then I ended up with bounce checks because then there was less money in my account than I thought there would be. So I took her to court. You can take them to small claims court. Sometimes they'll do mediation, and landlord has a certain number of days. I think it's 21 days. It's 3 weeks. It depends on the city. Sorry, my cat. It's her playtime. What's up, honey bear? So the landlord has a certain number of days to give you your deposit back. There's a certain number of days they need to send you an itemized list of what they have deducted from your deposit, and they need to give you, excuse me, your check back. Now, every state, every city is different. Look into the local laws. But they have a certain number of days to give you your deposit back and to itemize and take deductions out. And they have to show you how much each thing cost that they deducted. If they fail to do this, they forfeit their right to take any deductions out of your deposit, and you can get your whole deposit back. So let's say you totally trashed the place and the landlord never gave you your deposit back. They never sent you a letter stating, you've trashed my house and this is how much all these things cost. They can actually sue you, because if the damage you have done is more than your deposit, the landlord can come back and sue you for that because you damaged their property. That's illegal. That's part of renting, is the agreement you're not going to destroy their property. Okay. Now it's really important every time you move out to take pictures, lots of pictures of how the place is when you move out, because there's all kinds of people out there. They can come back later and trash something and say you trashed it because they want to remodel the kitchen and they want you to pay for it. It happens. So protect yourself. Take pictures, take pictures, take pictures, document, 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 have everything in writing. Yeah. Do not let a landlord threaten you. If you're doing everything right, if they're not fixing things they need to be fixing, you have the right to break a lease. You have the right to pay for those repairs, deduct it off of your rent. You have the right to not pay the last month of your rent if you leave the place immaculate. I mean, they can come back and say, you know, we found this broken, you need to fix it, you need to pay us this money. So take pictures, okay? That's my advice on that. Now, landlords. Advice for landlords and picking tenants. It can be tricky. You can end up with a bad tenant and you don't know. Always do your research, do your background checks, call around, get referrals, you know, look at their credit score. I know someone, he only goes through Zillow because Zillow verifies people. Look at their social media, look at their car. When they drive up, look at their car. Is their car immaculately clean? Is their car full of junk and cluttered? Is there damage on their car? Because that'll give you a clue whether how responsible they are. If they've got dings all over their car is dirty, it's full of clutter and it's dirty inside, that's probably not someone you want to rent to because they're probably going to trash your place. I had to do this once. This works if you're renting a room out in your home. I rented a room to someone. It was month to month. And we said, well, let's try this out. If it's not working, we'll just part ways. And he assured me if it doesn't work out, he has a place to go. Well, by the end of week 1, I was kind of feeling uneasy. By the end of week 2, I was like, yeah, this is not working. And I let him know, I'm like, I'm really sorry, but this is just not working. I don't feel comfortable. And, you know, you're not listening to me because when it snows, I have a steep driveway. I don't want you to drive down. I want you to park at the top. But he felt like he could drive down it. I was like, thing is, my driveway is slippery at the end and you could have slid into my house. And one morning I watched him. He almost didn't get out of the driveway and up onto the street. He almost was completely stuck. And I was like, you know, I asked you not to do this. You keep doing it. It's not working out. Well, then he kind of threw a fit. And I was like, he's going to be a problem. I just went online. He told me he owned a house in Sacramento. So I went online and I found the house that he owned. And while he was gone, I pre-planned it. I knew he was going to be gone all day. I packed up all his things and I changed the locks and I took all his stuff to, luckily he didn't have much. I took it to the house he owns. Luckily his next door neighbor was home. And he said, oh, I can keep an eye on it. And I know him really well. I was like, perfect. I sent him a text and I said, I've changed the locks. I've taken all your things out of my house and they are at your house that you own in Sacramento. And he's like, you can't do that. And I refunded him his deposit. That's the other thing. You got to refund the deposit right away. I refunded him his money. And I refunded him almost all of his money. I think I only charged him for 1 week of rent instead of 2. But I think he was there for a little over 2 weeks. Anyway, make sure you get them out before 30 days because if they're there for 30 days, once it's that 30-day mark, legally it's really hard to get them out. And I knew that. So if you feel like you're going to have an issue, you better get rid of them before they've been there for 30 days. I got them out. Done. Not a problem. Now, if I had done the legal, technically legal way, right? I mean, this is my property. He had no legal ground to stand on. I gave him his money back right away. And that you have to do. It's just like when you get fired, they need to have your last paycheck ready for you. Because he was in my house for less than 30 days, he legally can't say this is where he resides. I could say he was just a friend staying here and we were not getting along. This is my house. He's out, right? He has no legal ground to stand on, but it reaches the 30 days. It's really hard to get rid of him. It can take you a long time, a lot of court fees. It can be a pain in the butt. So, there's risks to being a landlord. There's more risk in being a landlord than being a tenant. But, you can make a lot of money being a landlord, but there are always risks, just like business. You can make a lot of money, but there are always risks. So these are some tips and tricks that you can do to save your butt. And you're not going to find this information online. It's not going to be any legal advice, but they are things you can do. And so I hope that you find this information very useful and helpful, because there's a lot of landlords that take advantage of younger people that don't know their rights and don't know how to find rights, and don't know these little tips and tricks. But yeah, so good luck with, hopefully you have a good rental situation. Really, before you rent a place, really vet it out before you move in. Because I moved into a place that had serious asbestos problems. I was only there less than a month and I got so sick, and I'm still having health problems from it. And I tried to sue him. I tried to have the local government help me, and they were no help, zero help. Sometimes your local government does not want to help you at all. They don't care. And if you don't have the money to legally fight them, you're just screwed. It happens all the time. I've been screwed a lot in my life. And it sucks. I should be comfortably retired right now, and I'm probably never going to be able to retire, but who knows? We'll see. Yeah. So I hope you find this information very helpful and very useful. Really vet out where you're going to move to and really vet out your tenants. Look for these clues if you're going to have issues, and find yourself a good home. Thank you.